You know it's not officially the offseason until the Seattle Mariners fans are furious at the front office, and once again, the Mariners ownership is proving that it is one of the worst in the sport. And that's because it sounds like the Mariners are going to be on monetary restrictions, or a budget, if you will, once again this offseason. This all started with the non-tender deadline that was today. First, we got to take a look at the players that were non-tendered. Mariners PR states that the Mariners non-tendered 4 players for the 2025 season. JT Chargois, we knew that was coming. He was already designated for assignment when the Mariners reacquired Austin Shenton. Sam Haggerty is gone, no surprise there. Austin Voth is gone, kind of no surprise there. And Josh Rojas, who was due about $4 million. This is the one that I think was the most interesting choice of the offseason so far, whether or not the Mariners were going to keep Josh Rojas, whether they would tender him a contract. And the Mariners chose not to tender Josh Rojas that $4 million contract. So obviously that leaves a hole for the Mariners over at third base. People thought maybe Dylan Moore and Josh Rojas would share time there as like some sort of platoon. At second base, who knew what was going to happen there? But Josh Rojas had a really, really good defensive season, but was not really good at the plate. And you look at where the Mariners are at now, with Josh Rojas being gone, obviously they need to make some upgrades. Second base, first base, and third base. Now, Luke Raley, you can pencil in as your first baseman, and assuming they do bring back one of Carlos Santana or Justin Turner, that would be your other first baseman / DH. So that sounds like that's going to be the plan over at first base. That's fine, in my opinion. I think that bringing back Santana or Turner is the right move. Pairing them with Luke Raley is also the right move. He deserves it. But second base, okay, right now it's who? Ryan Bliss? Dylan Moore, maybe Cole Young later on in the season. We already heard from Justin Hollander the Mariners don't plan on calling Cole Young up at the start of the season. He will probably start the season in AAA. Okay, well, you just got rid of Josh Rojas. So what does that mean? Is it Ryan Bliss and Dylan, like Ryan Bliss at second, Dylan Moore at third? That's kind of how the roster is shaken out right now, with Austin Shenton maybe being there at third as well, although he's much more of a first baseman than he is a third baseman. And then a tweet came out from Adam Jude of the Seattle Times. And Jude said, the Mariners are non-tendering Josh Rojas, Sam Haggerty, Austin Voth, and JT Chargois. Moves this week have freed up about $8 million in the payroll budget, roughly doubling what the Mariners are projected to have available this offseason. I'm sorry, let's just do the math here. Carry the two. Yeah, the Mariners have $16 million available this offseason to fill a position at first base in which Justin Turner or Carlos Santana are probably going to cost you upwards of half of that. How are you supposed to get meaningfully better at those other positions with $8 million left over? Hello? And now you may be thinking the Mariners are going to trade off Luis Castillo. They're going to trade off, Mitch Garver or Mitch Haniger. Jerry Dipoto has already come out and said that they don't think they're going to have to send contracts out like they did last year in, like, for example, the Jared Kelenic trade where they sent out Evan White, etc., or Gino, for example. He said that he doesn't foresee that happening this offseason. Okay, so if you have $8 million to play with at second and third base, but you don't plan on having to make those kind of deals, what do you do? And obviously, that means that you have to go out there and acquire somebody that is making basically league minimum. And I think Jordan Westburg's a guy we've talked about a lot. He fits very, very well, but to get Jordan Westburg, you're probably going to have to give up one of your young starting pitchers, which the Mariners also said they're not going to do this offseason. It really makes you think, doesn't it, that this front office, time and time again, blue balls the hell out of this fan base because it forces the Mariners front office to go out there and spend pennies to try to make this team better. A team that was 1 win away from the frickin' playoffs again. They were 1 win away from the playoffs and did not make it. And yet, we find out that we have $16 million to spend on this team that, frankly, last year was dog shit. Yeah, the offense was terrible. And we have $16 million to try to make that better? It is unbelievable. It's ridiculous, frankly. It truly is. That the ownership keeps feeding us this crap every single year. And I don't know how the hell the Mariners are going to do it, because if they're not going to trade one of their starting pitchers, they're not going to move on from money like they thought they had to in years past. They said that they think that Mitch Garver and Mitch Haniger bounce back. Cool. So they're going to be on this roster next year? Sick. How are you going to make payroll? How are you going to go out there and get enough money to spend to make these positions meaningfully better? Because if you go in to 2025 with Dylan Moore as your third baseman and Ryan Bliss as your second baseman, throw up the white flag. You're done. Your season's over as soon as it starts. If the biggest signing you make this offseason is Carlos Santana, and then he's like your biggest addition to your infield, you're done. Like, there's nothing else to add to this team after that. You have already lost. And I think that, again, time and time again, that's why the title of this video is Mariners fans are furious at the front office. Again. Because it's every single year. Now, there's still some possibilities that the Mariners can find a way to make trades for guys that are not making a ton of money. And we've talked about that before. And, we have videos of like what our perfect offseason plans would look like. And frankly, I don't think that the $16 million that we are told the Mariners have to spend this offseason is that different from what we've heard before. We knew that the Mariners payroll was probably going to be around 155-ish million this, like, going into 2025, 150 to 155 million. And where it sits right now after the non-tenders and whatnot, I Bleav is somewhere, and there have been very differing opinions on where it's at, but I Bleav it is somewhere around like 140-ish million, like give or take, maybe 135 or something like that million going into 2025, depending on which website you look at and like who you're listening to. That is about right with what we have been assuming the Mariners payroll was going to be next year. But to see it laid out and to see that they had to non-tender a guy who had a Gold Glove caliber season at third base, offensively was nothing special in Josh Rojas. I think Austin Vos, JT Chargois, Sam Haggerty, whatever. Josh Rojas is one that for $4 million you can probably do better, but at the same time, if you are not going to go meaningfully upgrade at second or third base, you should keep Josh Rojas because he is at least good defensively. And if you, I think it was Ty that tweeted this. Actually, let me see if I can find the tweet really quick because I'm pretty sure it was Ty that tweeted this. Yeah, right here. Let me switch you guys over. The optimistic outlook on the Rojas decision is that they're confident about doing something better at second base and third base than faking it at one of those spots with a Moore and Rojas platoon. Now, Ty says, should go without saying, this was tweeted before I saw what Jude just said. Yeah. I think Ty is kind of in the same boat as all of us when we saw that you'd assume that they are going to be confident in adding to those positions because of the fact they got rid of a guy who could be a meaningful contributor in 2025, and a guy that, if you guys remember, when they traded Paul Sewald and they got back Dominic Canzone, Ryan Bliss, and Josh Rojas, they were very adamant they wanted Josh Rojas in that deal. They were adamant that he was the guy that made this deal work. Now he's gone. And just like that, you get nothing for him. And can you upgrade at those positions? With $16 million and with probably 8 of it going to one of Santana or Turner? No, you can't. You cannot meaningfully add to those positions unless you're going to go back out and dumpster dive yet again. Do they think that a platoon of Austin Shenton and Dylan Moore is going to work at third base and then have Ryan Bliss be the starter at second? That's just, you cannot bank on that in what is probably the final year of the Dipoto contract and the Hollander contract. And if they don't make the playoffs this year, they're gone. You cannot bank on guys having bounce back years or having a year where they've never had before. Dylan Moore, Austin Shenton being guys over at third base that fill into that position in a meaningful way, that Ryan Bliss is going to step up next year. You can't bank on that. You need to go get bona fide guys at those positions, whether it be Jordan Westberg, Nico Horner, signing Willie Adames, for God's sake, like going out and looking at Christian Walker or something. That's what good baseball teams do. They go out and look at these players and how to meaningfully make their team better, and the Seattle Mariners, once again, are not doing that. There's still a long offseason left, and we still have a lot of moves yet to be seen, and maybe this changes, but as of right now, I am with all of you in saying that this team sucks, and this ownership sucks, and we all deserve better. We do, but I appreciate you guys watching this one. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think about this, and go Mariners.